Professor Eugene Kontorovich, welcome to Jerusalem Dateline.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Julie.
Yes. Now, the UN body, UNESCO, has just voted on a shocking resolution. Tell us about it.
On Rosh HaShanah, the Jewish New Year, one of the holiest days of the Jewish year, UNESCO passed a resolution recognizing as a Palestinian heritage site the ancient city of Jericho, and at the same time erasing all references to the city's ancient Jewish and biblical history.
So tell us about the biblical history.
So Jericho, of course, is most famous for being the place where the Jews coming from Egypt first entered the land of Israel, encircled the city 7 times, and with the blowing of a ram's horn, a shofar, brought down the walls of Jericho. It's also mentioned numerous other times in the Bibles. Elisha the prophet was there, many other prophets. In the Gospels, Jesus is recorded as having walked there. And all of that history has been completely erased from the Palestinian history of Jericho, which UNESCO just voted to support and endorse.
So what do Palestinians say their history is there?
So they just say it's an important world site, which is true, and they skip this entire part of the history. And not only are they doing that, they're on the ground destroying the ancient Jewish antiquities in that area, now with the approval of the United Nations. There are ancient Hasmonean palaces there. King Herod had an extraordinary palace there, a series of palaces, at the time of Jesus, at the time of the Second Temple, and the Palestinian Authority is literally building houses and plowing over those areas because they want to completely erase the Judeo-Christian record of history. And it starts before. They actually say that when Joshua came into the land of Israel, whoever it was, they don't name the group, fought with the Canaanite city-states of Palestine, even though Palestine was a name invented by the Romans only over 1,000 years later. So it is a complete erasure, an ethnic cleansing of Jews from history, combined with a destruction of archaeology, which is now being done with the United Nations approval, and worse now, with United States taxpayer dollars. UNESCO is a famously anti-Semitic organization. They have in the past passed resolutions denying the Jewish history of the Temple Mount, calling the Tomb of the Patriarchs a Palestinian site with no Jewish connection. And as a result of that, the United States, 6 years ago, quit UNESCO. Just a few months ago, they rejoined, paid up their dues. America pays about 22% of the UNESCO dues, on the idea that UNESCO is going to stop with the erasure of biblical history, the erasure of the Jews, and they're, of course, at it again, doing so especially on the Jewish high holidays. On Rosh HaShanah, the Jewish high holiday, the Jews sound a shofar. They blow a ram's horn, which is symbolic of many things, including the ram's horn that was blown in the city of Jericho by Joshua. And even as the Jews were blowing that horn, the UN was destroying the walls of Jericho all over again, destroying, literally helping the Palestinians, endorsing the Palestinian destruction of the ancient walls of Jericho.
So what do they base their calling it a Palestinian heritage site, what are they basing that on? The
Palestinians submit proposals, and the UN has an automatic anti-Israel bias where they can get anything. I mean, they can get the Temple Mount called a Palestinian heritage site, and it's part of an ongoing Palestinian campaign. They have a list of sites, the Mount of Blessings and Curses. They plan to submit a variety of ancient Jewish sites, which under the Oslo Peace Accords were recognized as sites that are of importance to Israel, that the Palestinians pledged to conserve and protect, and now they are destroying and erasing the Jewish history.
So what should Christians do about this? What should Americans do about this?
So I think every country that votes for this is taking a shameful position. More countries have come to understand that what is happening here is clear anti-Semitism. And I think it's important to encourage one's government to do what the United States did 6 years ago and say, we cannot sit at this table. We cannot be members of such an anti-Semitic club, a club that denies the basic biblical history of the Jewish people, of the Judeo-Christian concept. And the United States, of course, I think has been suckered and should come back out, should quit again. And every country that's committed to honesty, archaeological preservation, fairness, should do the same.
Professor Kontorovich, thank you for joining us and sharing this very important subject with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.